Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where we have real conversations about business, entertainment, and lifestyle. I am your host, Angelita the Coach, and this is episode 16, Awareness. So it is just me in the studio, right? Usually I have more people in here with me, but it's just me and Randy hanging out. Hey, Randy.
Hello.
All right. So this is episode 16, Awareness. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I am going to talk about those two things. But before we get started, going to thank our sponsors. Come experience friendly professional hair braiders at My Sister and Me Hair Braiding Salon in Detroit. We practice natural hair care and hair growth, specializing in protective style in which we braid your hair, not brains. My Sisters and Me Hair Braiding Salon offers comfortable, friendly, and relaxing environment. Visit them at 18443 Livernois Avenue in Detroit, Michigan, or you can go to their website at www.msn24hrhairbraiding.com. That's www.msm24hrhairbraiding.com. Okay. So, again, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, something that I definitely wanted to touch on and talk and spend a little time this evening discussing, as well as breast cancer awareness. With that being said, I'm actually going to share a little tidbit with you guys. I normally don't share too much of my personal being, business, and all of that good stuff. I try to keep it business. But I am a domestic violence survivor. So in my teenage years and my early adulthood, I was in a domestic violence relationship for a few years. So definitely, I think it's very important that we as women and men share our truth, tell our truth, and not be afraid. I know with domestic violence, we kind of shy away from talking about it because it definitely is a touchy subject, and it kind of hits home, and a lot of people don't like to share because, one, you can get retaliation from your abuser, family. It's just a lot of different things that play in that part where people don't discuss those areas. So, just to kind of I have some statistics here that I wanted to share with you all. And first of all, what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or other abusive behavior as part of a systematic pattern of power and control by another intimate partner against another. It includes physical violence, sexual violence, threats, and emotional physical abuse. The frequency and severity of domestic violence varies dramatically. In the United States, an average of 20 people experience intimate partner physical violence every minute. So if you just look at that alone, like an average of 20 people are experiencing physical violence every minute. That equates to more than 10 million abuse victims annually. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe, intimate partner physical violence. You smell good?
Smell like outdoor.
All right, y'all. That's Mr. King Wesley. He over here smelling like a snack. Gonna come sit next to me. Okay. Now back to what I was saying. Look, happy birthday. Okay, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe, intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact sexual violence, and or intimate partner stalking will impact such injuries as fearlessness and PSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I have to go back and read that because when you hear domestic violence so much, you think of the woman being abused by the man.
Absolutely.
However, it's not just women that experience domestic violence, domestic abuse. Men are also abused, and they experience domestic violence and domestic abuse.
Verbal and
Exactly.
physical.
So, according to the statistics, 1 in 4 women experience it, but there's also 1 in 9 men who experience it. So, this is definitely a conversation, that I want to have because men also experience domestic violence and domestic abuse. And I think that it's hidden more. I honestly think this, statistic, I actually think it's a little bit more than 1 in 9 men.
Absolutely.
And I think that because, men, they don't discuss it.
It's just manly for us to keep certain things to ourselves.
Exactly. So, and that's the other thing why, King is in here and he can definitely give his side of that because exactly, you're the man. So you're supposed to, be the provider and you're supposed to basically just take it all in and not say anything.
Right. They say we're built for everything almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? From the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. But and it's also what I've noticed to go along with the physical and mental, abuse and things of that nature. It's like it's not even like they don't even want us to like vent and complain about too much of anything, especially things that go on in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because it's mainly looked at as a man who's causing these things. So it's like, you're getting payback from something. You know what I mean? But that's not always necessarily the case. You know what I'm saying? So as a man that has been a victim of verbal abuse in a marriage, in my first marriage, she used to, frequent flyer with the F words, you know what I'm saying? The B words and all this, that, and the other, because she was what they consider the breadwinner. You know what I'm saying? She made more money than me. And, you know what I mean? I wouldn't do her like that. You know what I'm saying? But I would talk to my homeboys about it, and they'd be like, man, how is you letting that fly? Your name King. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, and then me carrying my name. You know what I'm saying? Like, King, you allowing this to go on and that. I'm like, man, listen, I love the woman. She was drinking. I can look past it. But actually, that caused me to carry like baggage into my other relationships and things, that happened before my current marriage. Just certain things I wouldn't allow. You know what I'm saying? Even like it got to the point where, in a relationship, sometimes you're not yelling, but sometimes you raise your voice. The woman raise your voice. So I have to like, hey man, who you think you're talking to?
You know
what I'm saying?
Look, you see how I look because I'm guilty of that, of like, kind of like raising my voice. But it's not, and I always say because this is true because I'm not necessarily, okay, I'll take that back. In some cases, I probably am raising my voice at the person. But also in some cases, I'm not raising my voice at the person. I'm raising my voice at the situation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Passionate about it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And so it seems as though, and I've been told, like, hey, I just asked you a question and you yelled at me, and it's like, no, I didn't yell at you and I apologize, but I yelled at the, you better not.
No.
I yelled at the situation.
See, she thought I was about to come out. No, I'm not coming for you.
Because I can text some stuff. Okay.
See, that was another thing I was gonna hit on, like with text messages.
Yeah.
Like, and I learned this in acting, like with my acting coaches. Like when someone puts something in all caps,
you yelling.
Not necessarily.
Yes, you are.
No, you're not. It's not always. I'm not gonna say never, but it's not always that you're yelling. You may just be emphasizing something. Like, look, I need you to. Oh no, look.
Use an exclamation mark.
See, it's and then you got to pay attention to the tone. I mean, just what's going on in the conversation. I got a friend that's on Facebook right now. His name is John Williams. He runs a beautiful program, like some similar to mine, like Killing's Whack, but it's entitled Save Detroit. And I clown him all the time because I can go on Facebook and I can show you everything is in capital letters, and he can be just talking about, I had a great day today. You know what I mean? And it's just everything is in cap. So I said, man, listen, man, would you stop yelling at us? Me picking one. He's like, nah, bro, my caps lock's broke. But you know what I'm saying? Something like that. But that's not always the case. You can just be passionate about what you're saying, and depending on the space that the other person's in, this is what we have to do as people. We have to step outside of ourselves and put ourselves in those people's shoes.
Yeah.
Like, especially if we know something similar to the situation that they may, if you got a past history with something, I should be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? As just not as your friend, but just as a person.
Right.
We learn how to talk to people.
True.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, like I edify that, like when I send a text, and sometimes when it's in capital letters, it's not me yelling. It's me just, hey, look, this is what is going
send me
on.
a text in caps? Nah.
Nah. But even some of the messages may have came off just kind of like left, but that's neither here nor there.
No, normally not. I think it would be more or less you telling me, "Oh, is this Virgo? Is this a Virgo conversation?"
Because sometimes it can be. Sometimes, but I love you anyway.
You my boy. You my brother. Okay, so 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. This includes a range of behavior and in some cases might not be considered domestic violence. But here's my thing though. Now, as far as you said you experienced verbal abuse, there are men that also experience physical abuse.
Yeah. And I guess in a sense I did too, because she destroyed a couple pair of my cardiac glasses. She bleached my clothes.
That's physical abuse to your material stuff.
But it's still physical abuse because I paid for it.
That does not mean.
It's mentally and physically. It's just tearing me apart. That's how it works.
That does not mean the same. Them glasses and them clothing was not. Okay.
Keep your hands to yourself.
No, King. No.
People.
But basically, and that's what and that's really what it all stems to. Like, who gives you the right? You know what I'm saying? To put your hands on another human being,
Exactly.
And first of all, like, when it says 1 in 3 women experience physical violence, 1 in 4 men. Now, in most cases, men, and I had to say in most cases, men are stronger than women.
Yeah.
In some cases, maybe not so much, but it's like, okay, lady, if this man was to turn around and do what you just did to him, like the impact,
he going to jail.
It's gonna be totally different, So,
and that's another thing. Like, you hit me, I just got to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I've never put my hand on a woman. I never even called a woman a B word. But if you hit me, because of the law, I have to leave. You know what I mean? It's like I can't defend myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could be leaving the property and you still hit me, and then what I do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And depending on how you were raised, you let it fly. Or hey man, chill out. You know what I'm saying? I've seen even in some cases where man, let's put a woman in a restraint, and he still went to jail. Like, man, I was.
Well, that's because he probably had because he touched her. Correct?
She hit him. He still went to jail. Now he beat the case because of witnesses, but she hauled off and knocked the cowboy sugar honey iced tea out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he just grabbed her like, look, you're not gonna keep hit. Don't put your hands on me. And it was her daddy that was the witness. Her daddy told him, like, man, that's a grown man. What are you doing? I didn't raise you to do that. Yeah. You've never seen me put my hands on your mama. Why is you doing this to this man? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those situations, man. Men have in the past been more guilty of it on paper, but that's on paper though. Like, what about the things that aren't being told? Because we're men,
right?
And we can't. We got to be looked at in a certain light.
I was just getting ready to say, most men, that are experienced domestic violence or abuse, you're a man, and men, I think, are held at a totally different standard to where, it's more harder for them to come out and say, hey, this is what's being on, because you're going to be called a punk, or you're going to be called
a coward.
You're a coward.
Exactly. And then if you put your hands on the woman, oh man, you a H nigga. You were this, you were that, you were this. So it's like one of those situations, man. It's like, man, what do you do?
And then that's not to, and that's for the men who who are being physically abused. But then, you still have the women, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I shared, and I think you've even seen the post on Facebook, and I had told the listeners earlier when we came on, that's something that I had experienced, in my teenage years. And, it's just like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the point? Like, where are you trying to go? What are you trying to gain? What is the motive to try and have so much control over one person?
You know what it is? What I've like, with researching and knowing both sides, you know what I'm saying? What the man who hit the woman and the woman who hit the man, it's like the comprehension between the two. And what I mean by that is, me and you could be in a relationship, and our communication, because they say communication is everything, right? No, it's the comprehension. Because you can be telling me everything, communicating to the T. And if I'm not comprehending it, it's like, but then you stay in the relationship, and you study communicating, and I'm just choosing not to comprehend, and you just ran out of words. And then depending on whatever the situation comes, it's not giving you the go ahead to haul off and knock the crap out of me, but it's like, I've ran out. I'm tired. And some people they just find themselves, in that scenario to where it's like, I don't know what else to say. Maybe if I knock the crap out of you, then you'll get it. But that's not right. You should just leave.
Right.
Because the moment you feel like you got to put your hands on me, or I got to put my hands on you, it's time to go.
Yeah. See, my situation was well, obviously that wasn't the case. It was more or less, you don't need friends. I'm the only friend you need. You don't need family. I'm the only family you need. So not only did you have that whole, physical abuse, but you also had that controlling mentality. You know what I'm saying? To where I didn't need anybody but you and your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't need to have friends.
And how did you feel about, like, when what I'm gonna say, when he would say that to you, like, what space were you in?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think I was so young and just, like, I didn't have like the I didn't have support. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the family support. I was young, and it was just kind of like, well, if I leave, where am I gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have anywhere to go. So
that fear of not knowing what to do or where to go, that I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
It caused you to stay.
Yeah, you stay, and then for me, I had two small children too. You know what I'm saying? So I have what they call Irish twins.
Yeah.
They're 11 months apart. Yeah. So it was always the threat of, if you can leave,
but how you gonna manage?
But you're not taking these kids.
Or that too. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So
Come on, that's the mama, man.
Yeah,
how you gonna do that?
It was a lot of
that. That's dirty, man.
It was a lot of that.
It'd be dirty out there.
Yeah. And then, woo, I'm gonna have a whole podcast about that one.
That's dirty. Like,
yeah. But that is how it.
But see, in my case, in my marriage right now, you know what she say? You leave, you taking your kids with you.
You leave
You leave,
take them with you.
Take them with you. But nah, man, that's dirty.
Yeah, definitely.
To do that to a young woman with 2 children.
And it's like, and you knew
what type of man are you though?
But you knew you could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Was he older?
He was older. He was probably, I think he's 4 or 5 years older than me.
Manipulative stuff,
but
man.
very, very,
That's
very,
dirty.
very. And then, you had your family on your side. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what, I was always I'm wrong. I'm wrong about everything. And I'm like, how am I wrong?
That was dirty.
How am I wrong?
This is a man, first of all.
Yeah.
And then he's older. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, step up, man up.
Yeah.
Be the man that you got a daughter. Be the man that you want your daughter to meet.
Yeah.
How about that? Would you want your daughter to date you? That's the type of question that keeps me in check.
Exactly.
Like, what am I demonstrating? I ain't gonna say forget what me and my wife, how I'm making her feel, but what am I demonstrating to my daughter that she can take and resound on when it becomes that time?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So the wife gets the bonus because I'm demonstrating something for my daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like, she reaps the benefits of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like today. I took my baby out on a lunch date. You know what I'm saying? Took the little ones to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Let them play around. Like things like that. They have to see that all that.
Absolutely.
And even though I'm guilty of saying this, I've yelled. You know what I'm saying, at my wife, but I've got out of that habit. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Absolutely
as
not.
long as you continuously working on yourself, and like I said, you can identify like, hey, I was wrong.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things. Like, can you admit when you're wrong? Are you man or woman enough to admit when you're wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So as a man, and I had to do that. The first person I check is myself. I look in the mirror. I don't care what the argument is about. I don't care how right I am in this situation. What part did I play in it to make her get in this position?
Yeah.
Even if she's 100% wrong.
Yeah.
What did I do?
And see, and that part right there took me a while to get to like, okay, what part did you play in this? You know what I'm saying? Because before I'd be like, no.
Because we all play a part.
Right.
We all play a part.
So yeah.
We all play a part.
Definitely.
Great topic.
So I know, right? I was trying to come up with something today, and I was like, what did King and I go? Huh? She not on this show.
Oh, next month.
She next month. Okay. Moving right along here. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. Hey, y'all.
She rude. She just stopped mid-sentence just to do it for the gram real quick. Only my co-host.
And 1 in 10 women have been raped by an intimate partner. Data is unavailable on male victims, but you know it has happened. It has happened.
And pause right there. Because, once again, a man has to be a man. Did you really get raped, bro? Or did you enjoy it? No. I know 2 men right now who suffer from that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're fairly popular men. That's one I'm doing a film with currently. I won't put his name out. And then another one, he's
But now just don't say the name of the movie.
No, because I'm doing a couple movies.
Okay, good.
And then the other is he's an Instagram comedian, like very, very funny, and he talks about that. Like, man, I was molested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it kind of like it affected him on how he deals with women, like to this day. And both of them, they share this with me, and it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? How many men are going through this? And then you sit back and you play, you play back your experiences and then other people's experiences, and you see how the men treated them, and they might have been, whorish, whatever, promiscuous and things like that. But what's the backstory?
Exactly.
What was demonstrated to them young? You know what I'm saying? Like kids, especially little boys in their younger lives, things happen. You know what I mean? Older cousins, outside, outside people. Like you just don't know what happened to people or why people turned, to the same sex. We don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, some people born that way. I feel like that. And then some people, things happen
to you for you.
And it's just, and then, man, what I feel is, as men, really, and as people, we don't do counseling like enough.
Oh,
we just deal with stuff. Like that's just.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna be real. I'm just gonna say the Black community.
We just deal with stuff.
We just deal with stuff, but it's like, okay, you need to go.
How much are you supposed to deal with?
Right, exactly.
And still wake up happy, cheerful, upbeat, and what we got to remember, when we by ourselves, that's when things hit us. In the cars, in the bed, at home. You know what I'm saying? We sitting up and wonder why people was, overdosing on drinking, drugs, and stuff like that.
Committing suicide, everything.
Man, like we don't do that enough, man. So if all my viewers out there that's listening in on Instagram and over the airways, man, like if you know someone or you that someone, man, do not feel less of a man or a woman to seek counseling, seek therapy, in some form or fashion, man, because it's affecting you. I don't care how strong of a person that you portray to be, it's gonna affect you. And if it's not affecting you directly, guess what? It's gonna get you to your kids and your offsprings somehow. You know what I'm saying? You got it. We got to do better as a whole. Man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then also, 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men have been stalked.
Wow.
Stalking causes the target to fear she, he, they, or someone close to him, her, them will be harmed or killed. Let me tell you, I experienced that stalking thing too, okay? Because when I finally left the situation, the stalking came. Drive past your house.
But you the one that couldn't manage though.
Okay, if I can't have you, can't nobody have you type deal. It even got to the point one time he came through my living room window because a car was parked in my driveway.
He bruh manned you. He came through the window.
Yes.
I ain't being funny,
Yes,
but man,
I had to laugh on it because I could see Brother Man coming through. Yes, yes,
man.
he came through the window. He came through my living room window. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now, was it somebody in there for real?
Yeah, it was somebody in there. It was a car parked in my driveway.
Oh, we'll talk about it off air. What happened? Moving right along.
Moving right along.
That's
like,
stalking,
that's
man.
straight up stalkerish. That's a stalker. Straight up.
To the men. I'm talking to the fellas. Listen. That's not cute, bruh.
But here's the thing, though, too. But women, y'all got some stalkerish tendencies, too.
This is what I'm saying. It's not cute to get stalked.
No.
Like sometimes I've been around men who may be telling the whole truth. In some cases, they cap. You know, they be capping. That's the new word for boosting and lying.
Oh,
like
okay.
they capping. Like I mean,
I thought capping was like when I cap on you, like your mama's so ugly.
that's not the new cap.
Oh, okay.
The new cap is you lying. Okay. So, like, don't harp on that. Like, that's nothing to brag about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because that person, you don't know what's going on mentally with that person. And you sitting out here, huh, 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 huh.
And that's
he high, and you wind up, or one of your family members wind up somewhere in the trunk, tied up.
And see, and that was the thing, you know, it was,
man,
it was like you coming through. You don't know when you came through the window, you don't have anything.
You don't know what was on the other side of that wall.
On the other side waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? But when you just have that mentality
you don't even care.
If I can't have you, can't nobody have you. No, you don't care. You do not care.
And then that's crazy because some people will look at that as love. Oh, he loved me.
Exactly.
What?
He just loved me. He crazy about me. Yeah, he crazy.
And you crazy for thinking that's love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, I don't want that kind of love. You got to come through my kitchen window on me at night. I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it. You can just tell me, baby, show up when it's time to show out. Don't come through my window.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Right. I'm just like, woo. So, sexual assault, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 59 men. And I'm going to say this again, when it comes to these statistics for the men, I do not think that they are correct. I think it's more than what I'm reporting. And mind you, I'm getting my statistics from the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So you're more than welcome. Yep, to go to their website, www.ncadv.org. But sexual assault, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 59 men in the United States is raped during his or her lifetime.
Again, it's like those numbers definitely probably they definitely up there.
I mean, because my thing is what? I don't get it. Why you
gotta take it? It ain't even the same.
Why would that be fun and like
I can't even get in the mood with my wife if she's not filling up the par. If I know she's sick, I can be the horniest little dog running.
But then again, you know, that goes back to what happened to that person.
What happened to that person
in their childhood? Because
it's always a backstory.
Yeah, there's always a backstory of why. How we're looking at it like, how could you? There's a reason.
My wife just be like, you should have just tapped me and took it. No, that's kind of like rapist.
Don't put her business
man,
out there
I'm married. I can do this.
Don't put her
this
business
I need to talk to my Instagram people who don't understand. Look, I'm married. I'm happily married, man. I'm going on 9 years of doing this.
Up.
So I can talk about this.
Don't put her business.
Hey,
I got you.
I got a Virgo. You'll know what she do.
Virgos ain't no joke.
You know what I'm saying?
Homicide, and this right here is really horrible because 9 times out of 10, or in so many situations, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10, in so many situations, domestic violence, domestic abuse, it turns into where someone has unfortunately lost their life. 1 in 3 females murder victim. I'm sorry. 1 in 3 female murdered victims and 1 in 20 male murder victims are killed by an intimate partner. I definitely, again, the statistics for the male is definitely higher. You can't give me 20 men, stand 20 men in front of me and tell me only one
That's
is a
like
victim.
1 in 5.
Yeah,
1 in 10,
you can't tell me
1 in
one
6.
is a victim because we hear it so often on the news.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That triangle.
Yeah.
That murder suicide.
Exactly. We hear it
that
too often. Too often in both cases, whether it's the female, whether it's the male. Look, here's the thing. Let me tell you something.
It all be the same sex sometimes. I'd be like, wow.
Lord Jesus,
what about those numbers?
I got some of them numbers in here too. While you playing, but I love me too much.
Listen.
I love me too much that I'm not going to jail. I'm not going to jail for you. I love me too much.
Listen, man. Let me tell you like this. It's about 8 billion people in the world, man. If we can't figure it out, I got it. There's no options out here.
But here's the thing, though. This is the crazy thing. Even when we're talking about murder victims, a study of intimate partner homicides found 20% of victims were family members or friends of the abused partner, neighbor, or a person who intervened, law enforcement responders, or bystanders that were killed. In these situations. So it's not necessarily the victim, the victims that are being killed, but it's people that are, involved. And, that's definitely true because I have a friend to this day. I consider her a best friend. We've been friends since the 8th grade. She was there, and through the start of that relationship, through the end of that relationship, she's still in my life to this day. And he could not stand her. He hated her guts. He hated her guts because he would always say, anytime you two get together, it's just always bad. But no, it wasn't bad. She was my safe haven. You know what I'm saying? That was where I went to get away from you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it didn't matter. You would always show up at her house. You know what I'm saying?
Nuts.
So, yeah.
All right, hey everybody, listen. I know this topic, these topics are juicy, man. But if you want to call in, you can call in at 248-838-3661. We'd love to hear some of your stories briefly, some of your insight on some of the topics that we talked about. Once again, you can call in at 248-838-3661.
And then we had briefly talked about the murder suicide. 70% of all murder suicides are by intimate partner. 94% of murder suicide victims are females. So that's just to go a little, give you like some statistics of like what's really going on. Excuse me, y'all. In the world out here, and so many things play a part in domestic violence. Like there's mental health issues. Like there's so many things. Like you said, there's always a backstory.
It's always a backstory
to why these things are happening.
It's always a backstory.
So the other thing, what King had mentioned. Oh my goodness, it's 8:40.
Yeah, that's what I had.
I'm like, dang, real quick. I didn't even know it was like 8.
Get juicy.
Yeah, get juicy. Oh my goodness. So,
you're right. Too many selfish people in the world.
Yep. So really quick, because let me see, I had printed this out. Oh. We're talking about like same sex, the LGBTQ. I don't really know what all them letters is. I ain't even gonna get into that part either. But
that's what that is.
Oh, but why?
All right. I didn't even think they labeled people like that.
I just thought you would just leave it cute off.
People accepting being labeled that? That's okay.
Okay. So, just to give you some I can't even say.
Some statistics.
Some statistics. Don't look at me like that, Randy. Look. some statistics. Still can't say it. For the second year, close to the majority of 47.6% of homicide victims were LGBTQ men, and the majority of homicide victims were identified as gay. 47.6% as lesbians. And 47.6% was gay, and 28.6% were lesbians. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, whatever you decide. It just happens wherever. So, yeah. So, but I did want to give out, though, that if you are experiencing domestic abuse, domestic violence, or you know somebody who is, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or their website, www.thehotline.org.
Again, that's 1-800-799-SAFE.
You just had to
or thehotline.org.
Or you can visit their website at www.ncadv.org. All right. So, again, I told you this episode is awareness. So, not only is it Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
I had my pink shirt on the other day, too.
Did you? Mm-hmm. I know, I forgot to wear my pink ribbon. The domestic violence, I mean, it was a good topic, and we spent so much time on it that I didn't really even know that the time was where it was. But moving. You got to know, we got to talk about this. Like, so many things happen. What's wrong? They don't know the number.
No, I'm getting new viewers to pop up.
I'm like, what's wrong? They don't know the number. So yeah, this is definitely important things that we need to talk about. We can't just keep sweeping things under the rug. We definitely have to talk about it, get more involved with it. Share your story. You know, sometimes just sharing your story definitely can help another person. Okay, so moving right on to our next topic, which is breast cancer. About 1 in 8 U.S. women, which is 12%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime.
My sister's a stage 2 survivor.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's good.
I know. I think I know a stage 3 survivor. Her name's Tiffany. Mm-hmm. She lost her breast and went through the tough, the radiation,
chemo and all of that.
And she's out here. I'm talking about not missing a beat, man.
I mean, I just think that's just one of the worst things that's just taking our women out is breast cancer.
Why? And it's blacks.
Yes.
What's up with that?
I see more and more black women, more and more African Americans with breast cancer. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. But I think more and more have it.
It's fact.
Is it an issue of preventative care? Like people aren't going to see their doctors for checkups and things
Partially.
like
that? I would agree. I would definitely agree. Because we just doctors.
You got to get your mammograms, ladies.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm due for a mammogram. I'm due. I'm overdue.
Get your mammograms, get your pap smears, get all that.
Because you need to have your mammogram. Your first mammogram, you should have it at the age of 40. That is when all women should go and get their very first mammogram.
Yeah, Kia wanted to call in about sexual abuse.
Call in, Kia.
It's 248-838-3661. I know it's backwards, but hey, just bear with me. It's 248-838-3661.
Call in. We'll definitely go back.
Oh, it's a lot of men with breast cancer as well.
Yes, there is.
Why is it taking over us so much?
Like Randy
said, preventative.
Yes.
Go to the doctor.
Yes, go to the doctor. And I know we don't like the doctor.
I go to the doctor more than my wife.
I get it. We don't.
I go twice a year.
I am that person that absolutely hates going to the doctors. I don't like it.
I got white coat syndrome. I think that's.
Is that what it's called? White coat syndrome?
Yeah.
And my doctor is cool.
Mine is too. But I got to tell my doctor, hey, look, let me, before she take my blood pressure, look, let me sit in here and chill. Mm-hmm. She's like, you only been coming to me for 2 years. We know each other.
I got to get prepared.
No. I just got to get prepared.
Yeah, mentally prepared.
3661. Sorry about that.
248-838-3661. You're probably confusing when you put it up because it's backwards.
They said that, but that's why I kind of like stepping through it. 248-838-3661.
In 2019, an estimated 268. I said that wrong. Read that.
In 2019, an estimated 268,600 new cases of evasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S., along with 62,930 new cases of non-evasive breast cancer.
Now, we can okay. So I don't know. I guess my question is, what are some of the things that we could do to avoid breast cancer? One, obviously, like Randy said, is we need to go to the doctors. We need to get our checkups.
And then you also, as men and women, we have to. It's okay to doctor yourself. You have to know what to check for. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. You know what I mean?
And then
when you're doing your shower checks, everybody takes a shower every day. Check yourself every day. Mm-hmm. You know, even with men, check your testicles, things of that nature. Like you just have to know how to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, which one's is mine?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter?
Yeah. Just a second. The hosts are putting on headphones.
Okay.
I'm dropping stuff, y'all. Hi, thank you for calling. Who are we speaking to?
This is Kiara.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
I'm good. How are you? Hi, King.
I'm pretty good.
I came in at the end of your conversation.
Okay.
What's your question? What's your comment or your question?
I came at the end of the conversation, so I don't know exactly what you were talking about, but I did hear you say something about it being swept up under the rug. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that's why it is the norm, because I personally went through sexual abuse, and it's almost as if it's a generational curse, because it's swept up under the rug so much that the perpetrator constantly, he does it to almost every generation in the family. Mm. And I think because the person who did it to me did it to my aunt, mm-hmm. And so no one ever took charge. Mm-hmm. It literally took me to come out, when I was 17, and then again when I was 21, and just tell the family, like, he's a predator, period. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like it's the lack of knowledge. I think parents are afraid to talk to their kids about it and tell them the right and wrong ways to be touched.
Yes.
And that is why when it's happening, we don't know what's going on. Yeah. I was 7, and it happened from the age I was 7 to 10. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know. I knew it wasn't right. And then it was like, okay, this is my uncle. He loved me. I love him. You know what I'm saying? So it's swept up under the rug, but then also parents do not teach their children the right and wrong ways to be touched, because it's such a scary subject.
She is absolutely right. Absolutely.
And I just got to ask, I mean, just, that affects how you even look at men today, right? I would
definitely.
It
affects me in my everyday life. How I look at men, my trust issues with people in general. It affects every relationship in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm finally at the age to where I'm really ready to push through it and overcome it. And really, I went through 4 therapists, and I had the first 3 were women. And my therapist I have now that I was absolutely scared to go to is a man. And I absolutely love my therapist.
That's growth.
It gives me complete life.
That's growth within you. You know what I mean? Like, to even get to that space to where you can even, sit down with a man one-on-one and even talk about it. You know what I mean?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any children?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, I'm not. And that's another part is I'm 28. I don't have any children, and I'm almost scared to have kids because I'm afraid that I will be so overprotective over them. And I know it's not right, but it's just like I didn't have anyone to protect me. Even when I told when I was 17, and then when I was 21, he tried again.
That was 7 years ago.
Yes. And so I never felt a sense of protection from nobody but me. I feel like I've protected myself my entire life. And so I know I have to give that to my son or I have to give that to my daughter, and I'm afraid that I will be overly protective over them.
Well, let me
So it's just,
say this to you. I don't mean to cut you off,
oh, you
but
good?
in this day and age that we living in right now, ain't no such thing as being overprotective of your kids. You have to be overprotective of your kids. If
Right.
if that never even happened to you, it's just because you missed it. You know, it never happened to me. That doesn't mean that it can't happen to my children. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I mean, I know you trust me as your brother, but
Right.
don't let that, put you in a space to where you feel like, you know what I'm saying, with the kids situation. Because when God says the time is right, and that does, if it does, you allow that to happen, it's okay to be protective of your children. Like I say, especially, and this is coming from a man, a 40-year-old man. It's okay to protect your children.
Yeah, I have to agree with King and say, don't let that be the reason that you don't, have children. Again, I never want to get too personal, but I can relate to you on so many levels. Like I was sexually abused too when I was younger, not once, but twice. And I have children. But here's the thing. I never had anyone to sit down and talk to me to explain these things to me, But now that I am older and that I have children, trust me and that 12-year-old, and before she was 12-year-old, we had plenty of conversations. We talked about,
Yeah.
different things
I'm
to
like
look
that with
for.
my goddaughter.
Exactly. Same way with my son. We talked about these things and these signs to look for. And, I even went as far as to say, hey, if they say, that they're going to harm your mom or harm your dad, you know better than anybody.
Yep.
That's not going with your mom. And, that's not going with your dad. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of like these, I don't want to say these things happen. Everything happens for a reason. But with that being said, though, the signs. So when you have children and you know the things that have happened to you, so it's not a subject that will be hard for you to discuss with your children.
Yeah. So I just, I do feel like once parents, I actually wrote a children's book, teaching kids how the right and wrong ways to be touched. And then there's also a little booklet that's going to come. I'm not done with it, but there's a booklet that's going to come with it to help parents to teach their kids and how to talk about it. So it just starts with like people just being fed up and just ready to do something about it. And I feel like we can break a lot of generational curses.
Exactly. So look, Kira, unfortunately we have to wrap up. This is such a dope topic, but I want to connect with you because I want you to come in and talk with us and let's talk about this. Like, come on the podcast if you're interested.
Introduce your book.
Introduce your book, everything that you have going on, because it's so needed. Like I said, so many things are swept under the rug, especially within our community, that we need to start speaking up. We need to start speaking out about stuff like this.
I thank you for calling in,
man,
and sharing that.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
I know somebody needed to hear that.
Right.
Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Man, that was deep.
That was real deep. Okay, so I feel like that we need to come and do like a part. We have to do a part two. We definitely have to have a part two. Randy gave me that whole it's time to wrap up. But yeah, we got to talk about this. So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna end the podcast. But connect with us. Connect with us on Facebook at Real Podcast Detroit. Connect with us on Instagram at Real Podcast Detroit. King is working on movies. Flint Tales is coming out. A whole bunch of dope, great stuff. We will see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Have a good night.